Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another session with the older man. Today, we're going to get into something a little more dark, to say the least. We're going to talk about men who are going through a midlife crisis. And this sort of triggered me because I watched a video this morning on a gentleman's channel. I'm a 57-year-old man struggling with midlife crisis. Lonely Friday. I lost my last best friend. By the way, this best friend is his daughter, his teenage daughter. I listened to this gentleman's video. It's quite dark. It's quite depressing. But I see all the signs of a man going through a struggle. And I know a lot of us, gentlemen, we face it. I know a lot of you who are actually on my channel are middle-aged guys. A lot of you. And I know a lot of you have gone through this because usually a midlife crisis, anywhere between the age of 36, early or late 50s, anywhere in that range. But the majority of people, it usually starts in their 40s. Let's just give it an average, around 45. That's when reality hit you. A midlife crisis is what we need to deal with first. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, you know. A lot of women and a lot of popular culture always said, oh yeah, the man goes out and buy a fast car and start chasing young women, even though he's been married for 20, 30 years and, you know, he's been a responsible guy and all of a sudden he gets up and does something stupid and irresponsible.
It can go 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. Hit 200 miles an hour. A mean machine, and for some, a time machine. Most Corvette buyers are men in their middle age, feeding the notion that they're somehow seeking their lost youth, what some call a midlife crisis.
You hear the term, I have to have one before I die.
At Rydell Chevrolet in Northridge, California, sales manager Rick Petalou says the guys who buy Corvettes know exactly what they're getting. Are they buying performance? Or are they buying the fantasy?
The fantasy.
And this is simply one of the symptoms. This is one of the symptoms of going through a midlife crisis. But what triggers it? What is it that happens in a man's brain, whether it's psychological or whether it's physiological? I went through my stage, just so you know. And that's really one of the reasons I ended up in Dubai. Denied the fact that I was going through a midlife crisis. As I examined it over the years after, I do realize that that's probably what I went through. Because I went through a serious state of depression that I couldn't shake off, and I refused to take drugs. And I decided to get out of what I was doing at that time. And that's one of the symptoms of going through a midlife crisis. So what is a midlife crisis? We're going to get into that, but I want you first to listen to this man and see if you have faced something similar as a man. Give me a thumbs up on this message, gentlemen, please. Ladies, listen up. If your husband or loved one, whether it's your dad, whether it is your uncle, cousin, whoever your male counterpart is, if he's going through any of these symptoms, you guys need to identify and be patient with the man, because sometimes men do go through periods where he's not the strongest one on the block. Understand this, please. Just like women go through menopause, men go through their menopause. Simply because it's very similar to what women go through. But we're supposed to be sympathetic to women going through their period and all of their emotional roller coasters. But for some reason, society don't take men that serious when he goes through his mental changes. Let's first listen to the video of this gentleman going through his problems on a daily basis. And you can see how mundane it is, okay? And I can assure you, you want to say, dude, just get it together, man. Listen, it's hard.
Hello, guys. Just going to the supermarket. And this is like the highlight of the week for me. And I usually go with my daughter. She's going to be 12 years old soon. And yeah, I think she doesn't want to come with me to the supermarket anymore because it's boring. You know, I asked my son, he never wants to go. He just wants to play his video games. Sometimes I can bribe him. I'll say, yeah, I'll get you this and this and that. and he'll come. And he has to be in a good mood as well. But usually my daughter always comes with me. But the last few times, you know, she says, "Daddy, it's boring. I don't want to go there all the time." And I realised that what's the highlight of the week for me is boring for even a child. So, like, she's the only friend that I have.
Okay, number one, that's a lot of burden for a 12-year-old child. Nothing an adult does is exciting for a child, let alone going to the supermarket with you. No, my friend, you should never burden your child with that. I have two girls, 17 and 15. I would never, ever burden them with something that I do that was boring. I make sure that I either do it on my own and I just resolve myself that this is what I like doing on my own because no one else participates or interested in participating. Thankfully, my wife loves my company and she will happily go pretty much anywhere with me. Guys, you might think that this man is boring, but you have to understand his head space isn't normal right now. And when I go through some of the symptoms of going through a midlife crisis, that you will understand that. But I want you to first get a flavor and feeling of what this man is going through on a daily basis. Okay? Let's listen to a little bit more before I go into more of the issues that we have to deal with.
She's the only one that I'm close to. My wife, I asked her, I called her, I said, "Would you like to come to the supermarket?" And she shouted, "No!" I thought, okay, well, she's always in a bad mood, always in a bad mood. You know, I might ask her for something, I might need help. You know, like today, I washed the sink, I did all the plates, cleared all the plates, and then I had to change my sheets, and I needed to find out where the clean sheets were. So I knocked on her door, and her immediate reply is, "Now what do you want?" Like, when I hadn't called her for the whole day, I hadn't been in communication with her for the whole day. What do you mean, now what do I want?
My friend, you do not have a very good wife. God forbid if you had a terminal illness, had you hospitalized or something, where you couldn't function physically. Whoo, man, you would be in a world of hurt on your own. So you don't have a very accommodating wife. You don't have a very nice wife. You have a wife that don't like you and don't respect you. That's what you have. Unfortunately, the very essence of having a mate, a husband or a wife, is someone who's supportive and who's there to hold you up during the hard times. If the roles were reversed, I would give just as much or even more shit to the person or that husband who would not be there to stand behind his wife. Because I can tell you, when women are going through their menopause, it's rough. Yeah, I live in a house where I am now under 2 very thick blankets every night. My wife is hot, okay? She's boiling 1 second and then the other second she's freezing, okay? But most of the time she's boiling hot. I have to be literally covered head to toe. Sometimes I go to sleep with socks on just in case my feet poke out. But she's in denial. She's in denial. She swears she's not going through menopause. Yeah. She's 54. What do you think? But man, oh, yeah, these are the things. I have to understand it. Thankfully, she is not going through any massive mood swings. But I don't complain about the AC. I just get another blanket, put on an extra layer of clothes. That's it, because I understand what's going on. That's what good partners do. This man, all he needs is a couple of good male friends. Unfortunately, he don't have them.
I don't think there's any future for me and my wife. We don't get along. And yeah, well, forget about that for the moment. The thing is, you know, I don't have any friends, and the only friend that I have is, or the person that I'm close to, is my daughter. But now she's growing up, and I know that one day she's going to find a boyfriend, maybe when she gets older, get married, or move out of the house, you know, and get a flat with the friends. I don't know what people do. And yeah, she'll be gone. And I feel that, I don't know how to say this. Like I'm investing all my love into one person, and then that person's going to leave. But what else do I do? You're supposed to love your children, aren't you? And your children love you. Sometimes I think, should I also be not investing, but putting my time into finding a woman? But then I think, you know, I'm just tired of having relationships and then the relationships like collapsing.
Okay, I got it now. Obviously, he's separated from, or he keeps saying to his wife. So that basically means that he's either living with his wife or they're separated. I don't know. I don't understand the narrative here, but because he said he'll knock on the door and she will shout, "What do you want?" Or he'll call her. So he's still calling her his wife. So I assume that they're separated, because now he's talking about, do I get another woman? Yeah, that one confused me, but let's hear a little bit more.
I tend to collapse along with the relationship. You know, it takes a bit out of me. My first relationship, where I had a child in London, that collapsed. You know, I have a daughter. She's a kind of estranged daughter. You know, I don't see her, and we have not a good relationship. And it's the old scenario where you have you're a bloke and you split up with your girlfriend and you have a daughter, and then she uses that daughter or son against you, telling her or him all kind of BS, like you're such a bad person. And that person grows up to hate you, or at least not to like you.
Listen, brother, I hear your pain, but this is the general consensus of this video. He's going to gripe a lot about all the little things about life, and they're very small and mundane for you and I. But for him, who's going through this crisis in his head, these are magnified. They're big. And if you're listening to him and experiencing a lot of what he's saying, or are you feeling what he's feeling, then you know, or you might be going through a midlife crisis. Let's look at what is it that causes a midlife crisis. And I took some notes here. The number one reason I feel that it hits hard, midlife crisis, is hormonal changes. Men's testosterone levels decreases significantly when they hit 35. You understand testosterone, man. It is the wonder drug or the wonder hormone for men. And when that decreases significantly, you go through serious mood swings. You're no longer feeling like you're invincible. Most of the time, if you're sitting behind a desk, it will drop even more. At least when you're a blue-collared worker, you kind of get a lot of that aggression still in you when you're lifting and pushing and pulling. But if you're sitting in an office and you're not doing any physical activity, that testosterone level drops faster and more severe because you no longer need it. You no longer need that drug. I keep saying drug, but it's a hormone. Jesus. You need that hormone in you to keep you feeling like a man, because that's what men are made of. All right? The hormonal change will play a serious role. It will mess you up psychologically. Now, while the hormonal shifts are a big issue, we tend to mentally deal with a lot of issues. And one of the biggest things is we kind of start seeing our immortality. We see things in black and white. We know that, okay, most men die around 77-year-old, right? That means when we reach 35, 40, we know that, holy shit, half of our life have gone. What have we accomplished? It hits us hard. Have we accomplished enough in this lifetime? Have we accomplished enough so that we can have a comfortable life when we're older? These are the things that men think about. So it hits us harder, you know. Immortality is something that really affects us mentally. Life transitions, kids leaving home, kids growing up, wife leaving, divorcing, job change. Usually when you're working for a company for a long time, you find that they now want to employ a younger, more fit individual to take over your spot. Your training, this young person to take over your job and you know that you're pretty much out the door. It hits you hard. Unfulfilled goals is the next problem. You know, you said that you wanted to start this new business. You've now hit in 40 and you realize, holy crap, I haven't done that. I haven't started that. And I'm so deep in debt here and there, I can't even begin to look at doing something different. There's a sense that you have not been able to accomplish that thing. Another big problem is health changes. You might get that news from the doctor. Oh, listen, you got high blood pressure. Oh, listen, you got diabetes. Oh, you got to go on drugs for your prostate. You go through problems. You go through a health crisis that sort of makes you see that you're getting to that point where, hey, I'm not that young, healthy buck that I used to be. And it hits you mentally, man. Then you have social and cultural pressures. Society expects something from men. And if you haven't contributed enough back to society, you feel like a failure. And it can really, really drag you down, man. Okay, so be careful of that, gentlemen. I always like to add this one, purpose. We feel that we have not, and this sort of goes back into not achieving your goals, but life purpose is vital for men. If you're not in your purpose, my friend, if you haven't built something, if you haven't had kids, if you haven't achieved something with the kids that you have, if your kids are losers, if your wife divorced you because of something you did stupid, or business failed, etc., these are the things that will cause you to go through a midlife crisis. These are the things that will trigger it. Now, when you're going through a midlife crisis, what are the symptoms of it? How do you know that you are in a midlife crisis? I've noted down 10 things. Okay, some of them I have been through. Okay, you start to feel like, man, your life doesn't really make sense anymore. You feel this sense of, why am I doing this? Why is this necessary to do this? I'm wasting my time in this job. I'm wasting my time with this woman. I'm wasting my time with this assignment, this hobby. It doesn't make sense for you anymore. That is one of the things you need to identify instantly. And just to expand on that, nothing feels like it satisfies you. So you have to identify you might be going through a midlife crisis if these things are happening to you. Now, the number one and the biggest one is mild or severe depression. Now, mine was mild, but it was annoying enough to make me make a big move, literally leaving my country and moving halfway across the world and giving up, 3 businesses. And this is another thing. Even though I experienced the depression, that will then trigger other things that you will want to do, like make big life decisions. That's another symptom of actually going through a midlife crisis. Society always say, he just went off and bought a Ferrari, or he went off and bought a Corvette and he can barely sit in it. His stomach is hitting the steering wheel and he can barely control the car. That was his dream. He wanted that Corvette. He wanted that red Corvette he saw growing up, and he's going to buy that because he don't want to let life pass him by without getting that damn Corvette. He's going to experience it. That is another symptom of going through a midlife crisis. And we will justify it away. I worked my ass off. This is something I deserve. You will go through that in your head. But when you rationalize it, when you freaking go through that phase, you will come out the other end going, what the fuck am I doing with this bloody car that I just spent cash on, that I could have easily just have done something else much more practical. You will come out on the other end of it, unfortunately, with quite a bit of regret. But then you'll try to justify it again. Well, at least I had fun. At least I enjoyed it. We can rationalize anything away, my friends, but you have to first understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. That's more important. That's vital. That's what keeps us as men logical, level-headed. That's what makes us the individuals who lead relationships, who lead life, because we think critically. Now, another big one, you have this sudden urge to get in shape. Now, this is a positive one. You have a certain urge to freaking just get my shit together. Why? Because I'm getting older. I need to get my life better, my health in a much better state, because you do realize that the path that you're on, isn't going to sustain you right through to your old age. You got to reevaluate your life, man. You need to actually find someone that you can talk to. You need a mentor. You need a friend. You need a bunch of men that you can go and hang out with. At the gym, you need to talk to other men. Ask them about what they're going through. Find men in your own age group. With that, you're going to have problems and trouble making decisions on your own. You're going to have a hard time getting it together mentally. And this is the problem with trying to solve your problem when you're the problem. You see how that don't make sense? How can you solve a problem if you don't have any problem-solving capabilities? It's like a doctor trying to do heart surgery on himself, right? It just can't happen. You have to know when to reach out to a mentor, when to reach out to someone else for help. You have to be able to understand that, hey, I need help. I am out of sorts. But part of this is getting in touch with yourself. And it's hard to get in touch with yourself when you are sleep deprived, because one of the other symptoms are your sleeping patterns are off. You're going to bed at really weird hours, waking up at really weird hours. You're not in your pattern. You're not in your normal sleep pattern. So look out for these triggers, my friends. You start to question your priorities and what's important in life. This happens because you are now at that existential point in your life where you're going, man, I only got really another 40 years left of my life. What am I going to do with these 40 years? Have I accomplished anything that is meaningful enough for me to leave a legacy? What is my legacy? What am I leaving behind? Or is it all about just enjoying the seconds that I have here? In other words, shit gets real when you have very little time left. So you start to question everything. Everything becomes, is this worth doing it? Should I do it? You know what? Shit, I am not doing it because it's not worth it. I'm going to try to find something else to do. Watch yourself when it comes to that. Okay? Now, you usually get an increase in compulsive behavior. You might find that you will start drinking a little bit more. You might start doing some sort of drugs. You might start hitting the gym a lot more than you should be doing it. Going out looking for hoes. Starting to do anything to distract you away from the feeling that you have, that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling that you don't have it under control. You will start to look for distractions. Usually that's where the car comes in as well. That's where stupid compulsive behavior come in. You go buy something excessively expensive. You will go on trips that you shouldn't have taken. Anything to escape. Be careful of that, gentlemen. And last but definitely not least, everything and everyone frustrates the hell out of you. This guy's laugh. I can't stand this woman's face. Women are bitches. This guy is an a-hole. And that's the person at the supermarket, the guy at the gas station, the person who's just walking across you. Everything will start to frustrate you. Check yourself, my friend. So listen, guys, I hope that this will wake you up to what you might have to experience as a person going through midlife crisis, but realize that it is natural. The only remedy for it, the only natural remedy is to acknowledge that you're going through it and find friends and family members that will help you understand it. Just good people. Like I said, man, it's best to try to make friends now so that you can build a history with that friend. Trust can grow, because in your later years, my friend, you're going to need those people around you to help keep you sane. It makes life a lot better. If you have a great woman by your side, man, and I know that's rare, I know it's hard in today's day and age, but I can tell you nothing beats just having a good wife, a good partner next to you that will help you get through it. So I'm always rooting for you guys to find that person that will be with you through thick and thin. Yes, that ride or die person. She's not going to be there for you to rob a bank, but she's going to be there with you when you go through your dark periods. My wife was there 24/7 whenever I needed her, when I went through my dark times. I can't say a bad thing about her. She's a good woman. So if I can find her, hey, I think you can do it as well. Okay, my friends, so listen, I'm going to cut this off here. It's a bit long, but I think this is a very important message for you gentlemen. It's vital for you to understand that you will go through this period. And if you missed it, it basically means that you ignored it. good on you. So listen, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Of course, book a session if you need to talk to me. And more importantly, hey, join our membership system. It's going to be launched. I promise you it's coming soon. Okay? But until then, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.